Welcome back. We're not done with politics yet, and as 2027 draws near, it is trite, particularly maybe for the opposition to begin to look at its strategy. But there's also that talk about the appropriateness of it all, particularly for the ruling party. So what is the strategy of those actors of this coalition? Joining us for this conversation this time is Mr. Salihu Lukman, former National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the All Progressives Congress. Mr. Lukman joins us virtually from Abuja. Thank you very much, Mr. Lukman, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And just before we start off the conversation, it's important to also point out that the spokesman of the All Progressives Congress will be joining us after this particular conversation. But as we start off, Mr. Lukman, what may be uppermost in the minds of Nigerians is what is the stage of this coalition? At what stage is it particularly? And perhaps you want to give us clarity, because there are a lot of permutations about, you know, who is going to be vice presidential candidate, who is going to be presidential candidate. Help us clarify all of these.
Well, thank you very much. First, I think it's important to say that we are basically at the concluding stage of finalizing the negotiation in terms of how we want to contest the 2027 election. You know, basically the question of on what platform are we going to contest. We went through a very painstaking negotiation, I will say, which took us more than a year, actually. And the basic reality is the fact that at the moment, none of the parties, including even the ruling party, and I'm happy the spokesperson, my fellow friend, Felix Moka, will come afterwards. I'm conscious of that. I'm saying so deliberately and consciously. The ruling party as it is today does not, and in the case with virtually all the parties that exist, does not represent the classical organization of a party. Any party that cannot respect its own constitution, meetings of organs are not taking place, it's not a party. And any party whose elected representative are not accountable to the party, it's not a party. It's not a party in the classical sense. And this is the dilemma Nigerians are faced with. And I will say, having been a founding member of the APC, I know the inspiration that drove us from the formation of the APC, which was basically to correct all the problems the PDP was presenting to the country. And what were the problems? The basic problem was that at that time, PDP created a political culture in which basically it's imposition at all levels. Internal contest within the party was completely truncated. And APC came with the promise of change. And these were the things APC wanted to change. To be fair to APC, in 2014, when we did the primary at all levels, which ended with the presidential primary in December, I think December 10, 2014, you will say that there was contest and there was fair contest. Those who won were those who contested the election on the platform of APC. But as we moved down the line from 2019 downwards, things began to degenerate. And as you can see now, and I hope Felix Moka will respond to this, APC has moved from a party that was envisioned to be a progressive party to almost a party that is now envisioned to become a monarchy. Because as it is now, the APC mantra is that in 2027, there will be no election, there will be no internal contest. The president is adopted, all their governors are adopted, and House legislators are also adopted. But let me move to the main issue about what we are doing in terms of the coalition. The first thing we did, having recognized the fact that the major crisis we have as a nation in terms of our democracy, the fact that we don't have political parties, we said, okay, let's see how we can, the best option would have been to register a new party. And of course, at the moment, and this is the reality, there are more than 70 applications lying in INEC unprocessed. So we saw that clearly there is almost a state-managed process whereby we'll get to 2027, there will be no party that can oppose the ruling party. On the basis of which we now had to come back and start looking at the possibility of looking at an existing party, negotiate with them, and see if we can have an agreement to transform the party. And we set clear conditions. Some of the conditions include that there has to be complete leadership change of the party. There has to be complete reorientation, including even changing the constitution of the party, so that we are not taking over a party just for the purpose of contesting election and defeating the current government. We want to present to Nigerians a new reality which will address all the frustrations. For instance, the question of internal contest, and this is the backbone of the negotiation. We want to ensure that internally inside the new party, there will be contest, and the winners will be the candidates of the party. And beyond that, we want to set up new orientation in terms of ensuring that when people win election, they are accountable to the party. It's not to become so that the elected representative become like the new emperors who now own the party and they will dictate to leaders of the party. So this is the roadmap we have set for ourselves, and the negotiation is almost at the
All right, Mr. Lukman, if I may, I'm happy that you're landing to say the negotiation is almost concluded. So I wondered, as though you looked through my notes, I wanted to find out what is actually limiting or stopping this coalition in that sense. Because I see that if there is a coalition without the PDP bloc, I don't know how far-reaching that coalition can go. Just a political calculation. PDP still has about 10 or so governors, about that number of governors or more, just around that number. They have they are the lead opposition both at the Senate and as well as at the House of Representatives. But the governors who are perhaps the strongest pressure group in the PDP have said, look, count us out of some of this coalition talk. In fact, people are speculating that some of the governors are working for the APC, others are, there are all kinds of conversations. So my question to you is, as it stands now, what is stopping this coalition from coming to fruition? Because the APC is looking and said, you guys are not serious.
There is nothing stopping the coalition from coming to fruition. Like I said, we have gone through painstaking process. And I can tell you, you are wrong to say the PDP bloc is not there. The PDP bloc is there, and even when the governors claim, for instance, that they are not part of the coalition, I mean, we responded clearly. Some of them, as you have seen, it is either they have already moved to the APC, some of them, or they are on their way to move to the APC. So clearly they are doing the bidding of the APC and the Asuwaju government. So we are not bothered about that. But to the main point, we have the PDP bloc in the coalition, and there is nothing that is stopping the coalition. Like I said, we are going through a painstaking process so that once we come out, and very soon, it will even be sooner than people expect, we are going to come out and we will clarify all the details in terms of the orientation of the coalition, the decision in terms of how we are going to contest the 2027 election, and the leaders of the coalition. All those will be known.
All right. I'd like to ask this before my next question. You resigned from the APC in 2024, July, I believe, and you said you were returning to the trenches to begin working with committed Nigerians. But you didn't quite clarify where you are headed in terms of, political platform. What's your role in this coalition, and which party do you belong to now, if you want to clarify that? And then Nigerians are asking, okay, answer that first of all before I move on to the next one.
Well, first, when I said I'm going back to the trenches, we are right now in the trenches. That is what is occupying us doing the negotiation. My being in politics is not like a career that I have to be in a party. I mean, the most important issue is that we came into politics with clear vision. We have an idea of the kind of society we want, and we were clear that the only route to get that kind of society is to have democracy, which was why we committed ourselves and fought against the military to get them out of power and have the current democracy. And having got the democracy, of course, we made mistakes, because in 1998, 1999, we decided we are not joining politics, we are not going to be part of any party, and that was the big mistake we made, Now, many of us tried to correct that mistake way down the line from 2003 to 2007 by becoming active politically. And having recognized, when I was part, to be fair, I'm not going to claim to say I'm the first to start advocating for merger of opposition party that led to the formation of APC, but I was among the first. I was very active in that. And we were very clear, the vision that drove the negotiation which led to the formation of APC, which was why even when I was an appointee of governors elected on the platform of APC, I could do what I did as a member of the party, believing that once the party degenerates, then we lose the moral credential to continue to talk to Nigerians about the vision that led to the formation of APC. And once I saw that the promises we made about renewed hope and all the expectation about President Asuwaju coming to correct some of the what we see as the departing point under former President Buhari. I don't need anybody to tell me. I had to now take that decision, and having taken that decision, the belief is that we have to now work with like-minded Nigerians to begin to now correct the big deficit of our democracy.
All right, so Dr. Lukman, so you do not belong to any, if I get your drift, you do not belong to any particular political party now, but you are
I'm not a
key actor of the coalition.
I beg your pardon?
You're a key actor in the coalition.
Well, however I want to put it, whether a laborer or a key actor, I'm in the coalition. I take instruction from leaders of the coalition.
All right. So you say that talks in the coalition have been nearly concluded. But events are to the contrary when you consider the sentiments, coming from members of the political parties that may feature in this coalition. For instance, the presidential candidate of the SDP, Mr. Adewale Adebayo, was quoted as saying recently on our sister political platform that El-Rufai has not asked him to step down. And it was doubtful also his response about the possibility, of stepping down for any other presidential candidate as well. So my question is, how are you managing those interests? Because even your statement acknowledges that, candidates must be willing to sacrifice their political ambition. So how are you managing the interests of leaders of the SDP, of the ADC as well, that is purportedly said to be the platform that would be used to advance the interests of the coalition? How are you managing those political interests?
Well, In terms of the SDP, I don't know the dynamics, internal dynamic they face between Malan Nasru and the former presidential candidate. I don't know what they face. But if they choose to be part of the coalition, and Malan Nasru is aware he's part of the coalition negotiation going on. So far, what we have done, the question of ambition of individual is not yet on the table. We know we'll get there. All we are telling people is that, look, the first thing you must sign on to is that your ambition is not a factor in this negotiation. First and foremost, come in, you submit yourself to basic democratic process. The party will be organized and it will set its own rule. And you, if you intend to aspire to contest, then you have to submit yourself to those rules. And if we win, fine. If you don't win, part of what all leaders in the negotiation have to subscribe is that anybody who wins will be supported by all. So these are the realities. But we are hoping by the time if we sorted out the discussion with SDP and they are in agreement, all this will not be a public issue. And which is why I said that I don't know what the dynamics is between internally inside the SDP, but this is our condition. And anybody who is going to come and disrupt that condition, we tell him, no, then it means you are not going to be part of the coalition.
Mr. Lukman, isn't that a bit not looking at reality from the very beginning? Who negotiates without interest at the back of their minds? Everybody's looking at the possibility of either running as a candidate or being a running mate in that sense. And that is going to influence whatever they are going to append their signature to in that sense. So I understand that you're trying to build something, but in building that sense, politicians are driven by interest, which is why they are jumping ship all over the place. So why are you saying, make us understand why that is not on the table, but implicitly or expressly?
That is not on the table because we want to first and foremost organize the party. You don't start eating the food that you have not cooked. It's when you have the party, first and foremost. If you feel your ambition is superior to the party, then again, you don't share the vision of correcting the democratic dilemma with which Nigerians are faced with currently. And what is the democratic dilemma? A situation where everything about the democracy now is narrowed down to the question of candidates. I mean, look, this is part of the dilemma that has produced what Mr. Jacob Pele has called democratic rascality, you know, whereby just 2 years down the line, you are already talking of adopting candidates unopposed, and yeah, the constitution of the country doesn't even matter. So I think we need to get it right. When we say people have to, we don't say you don't have the right to have you have the right to have your ambition, but first your ambition has to be subordinated to the bigger rules of the party, you know, and the party has to be formed first. And if you are committed to allow the party to be formed first, then your ambition, you should step it down now, let's form the party, and then immediately after forming the party, which in the next few weeks, people will be free to canvass.
Well, Mr. Lukman, if I could just comment quickly, quite a number of issues have been raised. You've dealt with some of them. Clearly, more questions to be answered, right, as to the ruling party's endorsement of the president. Some say, well, it's tradition to give the president the right of first refusal, and it's done in other climes, right? Since you're the sitting president, naturally, you should run for president again, except you say you don't want to run. But my question is about coalitions and the path we've gone down time and again, or at least that we're currently going on. Nigerians saw a coalition in the sense of the APC when the PDP was in power, and the APC had all of the solutions in that sense, promised heaven on earth, fix power, fix infrastructure, fight corruption, improve the economy, take Nigerians out of poverty. It felt like El Dorado would elude us if we did not vote for the APC at that time. The APC had solutions to all of the problems, and at that point, it made sense. But here we are, over 8 years down the line. Even the current government is saying that they inherited a bad economy from the same party. So we've gone down this line before. Coalitions promising heaven on earth, they get there and the story is different. So what is different about you, particularly because a major part of this coalition were part of the ruling party?
Well, first, I think are we okay now? Okay. These are the issues that we have to address, we have to correct. If you remember very well, APC came on a very high expectation. Nigerians believe us when we promised 3 things in 2014, 2015 during the campaign. And what were the 3 things? We are going to fight corruption. And of course, we had an inspirational person in the person of former President Buhari, who was his key strength at that point, which earned him the kind of followership he commanded, was his record as a military leader. The way he was very intolerant about corruption, the way he jailed virtually every politician of the Second Republic. And people expected a lot. The second thing we promised was the question of insecurity. At that point, the major problem of insecurity was more in the Northeast. The issue of Boko Haram. Of course, there were suicide bombings coming into Northwest, even up to Abuja, there were all those records. But it wasn't as much, it didn't degenerate to the level of kidnapping. Of course, we had problem of cattle rustling in Northwest and part of North Central, but over time, the situation degenerates. It was almost as if, as APC, we lost the whole fight against insecurity, and the expectation for many of us, and I keep making this point, part of my frustration was the fact that we believe a lot about the capacity of President Asuwaju. We believe that being a democratic reform, all that matters is to allow structures of both the party and democratic structures to operate, allow them to take decisions, and when they take decision, they translate. Unfortunately, all that we have seen is that the situation got worse. The party even completely closed shop, and democratic structure become almost like parastatals of the presidency. The National Assembly is more or less like parastatal. Almost everything that, and that was how, for instance, our national anthem within an hour or so, a bill was presented to the 2 chambers and they passed it within, for something as sensitive as that. Now, I think addressing all of these things, which is why we are yet to start making promises. Once we get the party structures, we will now sit down and start assessing the challenges and how we will translate them into government initiative on the basis of which the campaign messages will start coming out. So,
Mr. Saliu Lukman, because of time, I just wanted to put that in, right? So we help Nigerians manage expectations, because we're down this road yet again. But we have to thank you so much. I see you keep saying we when you talk about the APC. I know it's really tough because it's a party you've been a part of, but who knows what the future holds. But we have to thank you so much, Mr. Saliu Lukman, former National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the APC, who is now also championing this coalition. Thank you for your time. We hope to speak to you when there are more updates in the future. Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We'll take a break now, and when we return, of course.